Greetings, Moonlight citizens. It's your man on the moon here with Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. And on this one, we'll be reviewing A Better Man. That's right, folks. We'll be reviewing the Robbie Williams biopic, A Better Man, in which, unlike most biopics, Robbie Williams is in a musical biopic, and he is CGI isn't the right word. It's a live action animation? I can't really call it rotoscope. I can't really say properly. I mean, 3D animation technically, but it's like, he's a monkey, an animated monkey, a chimp to be exact. And yeah, we're gonna get into that if we discuss the biopic Better Man by focusing on the life and times and career of Robbie Williams in 3, 2, 1. Anywho, let's get into this right now, right here. All right. Now, normally I would do this, the process where I give you, here's how much the movie made, here's how much it was worth, here's some background on it, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna dive right into it because I don't know, I was a couple of minutes into the movie before I thought, you know what, let me get some notes down. This is really good. But just you don't need to know all that. You don't need to know how much the movie made. You don't need to know the critics' reviews. You don't need to know all that. You just need to know this recommendation. If you did need to know all that other stuff, heck, you probably wouldn't be watching this. But even if you do, thanks for tuning in anyway. So now, barely into the film, and I gotta say, I like it more than I like most biopics because this biopic isn't afraid to. Okay, a lot of biopics nowadays are afraid to make their main character look bad. And this biopic isn't afraid to show the parts of its main character's life that actively don't make him look like a good dude. Most of all, it isn't told from the perspective of or narrated by the wife or the girlfriend or someone the person knows. It is absolutely from the person's perspective. It is their life. They are telling their story, and I applaud that. Also, it's based on a real dude. It's covering real events, but it is very let's say it's very it's very, let's say, fiction inspired because yeah, with all the imagery in here, the monkey business of it all, it's very fiction inspired. The musical numbers that people bust into, I applaud that. If you're gonna make a biopic about a musician or a songwriter or something, you need to lean more into the fantastical because as cool as it is to see them performing their songs, like you have to, I mean, I don't know, if you just do it straight, if you just do a biopic as is, as you would a traditional biopic like Ray or Walk the Line, then you just have a drama with bits of music interspersed throughout. Another thing I like about this biopic is that unlike most biopics, we actually see him like kind of come up with this, like some of the songs he worked on. We see like he has this book with song ideas that he had and lyrics that he writes down. And it's not just like 2 or 3 song or musical moments in the movie. There's a bunch of them. So yeah. But let me get into the movie. Overall, before I get into that, I'm gonna say I give this movie. I enjoyed this movie. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. I would recommend it. It was, yeah. I'll get into why I enjoyed it, but yeah, off rip, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Let's get into the story. See, early on in the story, Robbie's dad leaves him, claiming that, he's going to a football game. But really, he just goes off to pursue his singing career. A career that never really takes off, and justifiably so. I mean, yeah, that's what you get, man. Ditching your family to pursue a career. Whatever, man. His career doesn't take off, and he's mostly singing in bars and small venues, and he doesn't really come back into the picture until Robbie becomes famous. And in one case, he was even on stage when he was singing. One case he was on stage singing in like a barely packed room. He flashes a picture of Robbie and he claims to be his dad. And when he finally comes back in the picture, he uses the fact that he's Robbie's dad to get himself laid because he ends up banging this girl who's a huge fan of Robbie. So it's like, you just, for a large chunk of the movie, whenever you see this guy, you're like, damn, what a scumbag this guy is. But yeah, the more famous Robbie gets over the course of the story, the more distance he gets from his mother and the more distance he gets from his grandmother. Because this over the course of the story, he starts out in this boy band, and they're relatively big in the UK, and you see all this stuff going on. And as the story goes, he starts to get more and more addicted to, drinking and smoking and various illicit substances. And it starts like, really affecting his ability to perform. A point that there was even that one show where the guys were like under the stage and they were about to come up and they like, it's like 5, 4, 3. And meanwhile, they're under the stage desperately trying to wake him up so that he can get up and do his part. And like, yeah, he does gets up, and the performance goes off without a hitch, except for the fact that he grabs the microphone from the lead singer and he sings his part. And for a change, he's the guy who sang lead on the song. Yeah. So that was the sign where the group that he was with, the boy band, was like, Robbie, we're gonna try and we're gonna go on tour, but we're gonna go on tour without you. We're gonna see what it's like to go on tour just as a 3-man group. We'll we think it's time. We do our own thing. Plus, you got some songs you're working on, and you wanted to sing lead on one of the tracks, and you got your career you can work. It gives you a chance to do a solo thing, man. So like, we think that would be a good idea. And to his credit, Robert was like, yeah, it's about time anyway. And he just gets up, walks over to this huge watermelon, and is like, "Can I take this?" And they're all looking at him like, "Uh, yeah, sure, man. You can take the watermelon." He just walks off and drives away. And that's the funny part about this shit, because they were expecting him to like throw a fit. They were expecting like an argument. They were expecting some kind of reaction, because that's normally what would happen when, I don't know, a member of the group is told by the other members of the group, like, yeah, hey man, I know we're like a 4-man group and all, but we're gonna go on tour as a 3-man group, and when we come back, we'll try and do some stuff when we come back, but like for now, we're just gonna be a 3-man group. Not like they replaced him or anything. They just had one less dude in the group. But like, normally you'd get upset. You'd get pissed. You'd be like, what? How you gonna kick me out? It's like, you know what? Forget you guys. I'm gonna make it something happen on my own. You're like, I'm gonna leave y'all on the dust or something like that. This acrimonious split. But like, he was just like, yeah, okay. Can I have this watermelon? It's like, and they would just look at him like, yeah, sure, man. Like, wow, that was not what we expected. And you could tell they were expecting something to go down, because they had this big meeting outside. They had this meeting like outside. It wasn't like, in a place where there was nothing but chairs and like a table with food on it. It's like, like, I don't know, man, he might break something. Or he might like, if he comes after us, there's plenty of space to run or something like that. But yeah, so he leaves and he pursues his solo career, and at first it kind of stalls. Like, the band goes off and they have their success, and he's just left trying to have a solo career, and nothing really comes of it until he meets the girl he falls for, and they get together, and her career is taking off really well, and like, he can't deal with it. He just can't deal with it. Like, everyone's having success except him. He has all these songs he wants to write. He has all these like lyrics that he's putting down in this notebook, and all this like stuff he wants to do. He wants to be a success. He wants to make something happen in his career, and it's just not happening. Everyone's career is taking off except his, and it leaves him like really bitter. And he ends up directing. He meets like the dudes from Oasis. His name Noel, and Noel Gallagher, I think his name is. And he's like, hey man, I'm a big fan, I love your song. And the guy just treats him like crap. He's like, it's just like, he basically looks at him with this attitude of, who's this guy? Like, what? You're a fan? Who cares, man? Get the, like, what the, like, who cares you're a fan? Like, man, let's get out of here. And then like they get up and leave, and he tell him like, hey, you coming or what, man? I don't even get the idea that they're friends or that they like each other. It's like, I don't know. It just came across like the Oasis dude was kind of a huge jerk, which I don't know if you know much about Oasis. A bunch of people have said the same thing. Given, I don't know, if you ask people in Oasis, hey, what do you think about that Noel guy? They might say the same thing too, but who knows? So yeah, the relationship between him and his wife, I think a girlfriend, I'm not sure. It is contentious in moments, and they do argue a lot, but they try to make it work. But man, it ultimately, as much as they may try to make it work, as much as he may want it to work, he just can't shake those nasty habits, man. He just can't shake. He just can't help but shooting up. He can't help it. And so, yeah, one time she walks in on him, like locked in the like he's like locked himself in the bathroom, and she thinks something terrible's happened. So she like busts the door down, and she sees him and he's not there anymore. The best way I can describe it, he is just simply not there. She throws him out. She's like cussing him out and yelling at him, and she throws him out, and he's like, "No, no, wait." He is so not there that he gets thrown out, and he just falls into some fantasy land, which is cute for a lot of. That's one of this movie's great strengths in that it's not your typical biopic. It's that it has room for trippy visuals and crazy shots and these wonderful transitions and these musical moments, which are a lot of songs. Which I actually shazammed a lot of the music that was playing in this. Most of the music that wasn't film score was songs from, you know, Robbie's career. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it'd be weird if you watched a musical biopic about an artist and they had like, I don't know, another band song or something. It would be weird if you watched a Metallica biopic and you hear in the background, you just hear AC/DC or Motley Crue. It's like, whoa, what? What's going on here? Why is this? Like, I would, you would expect a Metallica biopic to have nothing but Metallica playing in the background. It makes sense. Heck yeah. So his career finally takes off in the aftermath of tragedy, a tragedy that I can't mention here without this video getting taken down. Not taken down, but severely being negatively affected by it. In the aftermath of tragedy, he finally gets that spark to go back to writing stuff in his book, and he finally publishes. Oh, publishes, releases. Yeah, he releases music, and it works. It takes off, and he starts to get really successful, like really, really successful. And the more famous he gets, the more distant he gets from his mother and his grandmother. As his grandmother begins to get dementia, it seems, as she says, she was talking to his dad about seeing him, about coming to see him. Yeah, she spoke to him about finally coming to visit for a change during the school holiday. And that part, like, really, really bummed me out. Especially when they show this like montage of all the times that of the events he does and where he's really successful, and then they just cut back. It's all bright and colorful and fast moving, but then they cut back to like the scenes of his mom and his grandmother celebrating a birthday all by themselves, and there's this empty chair there, and you get the feeling like, oh man, he was supposed to be there, wasn't he? It's just he's normally there, but now that he's got too busy for them, it's so damn sad because everything that's going on with him is so fast and vibrant and loud, and then it comes back to them, and it's this slow. The camera's moving slowly. The room is filled kind of dark, and it's this really quiet moment, and it's like, oh damn, dude, like it's just the stuff with the grandma was so touching and so wonderful because throughout it all, when he was with the boy band, when he went out on his own, when like there were crazy fans outside his house, when all that was going on, she was the one who believed in him. She was the one who really thought he was going to achieve something. And when he finally did make it, she was really happy for him. And she never asked like anything of him. She was the one championing his dream like more than anyone, more than his dad, like more than just about anybody. She really cared about him. And like you just see her, like she's suffering from dementia, and you see like his mom sitting with her and this birthday cake here, and it's just like really, really sad and just like really bummed me, like brought me down watching this. But like, yeah. And the movie just hits with this huge, I mean, huge emotional gut punch out of nowhere when they let you know that while he was over in the States and he has this like big show coming, they learns that his grandma passed, and the world around his head when he gets that news that his grandma passed away, the world just totally blacks out. The world around his head just goes totally black, and he's just in a void. There's no sound. There is nothing else going on. He is he's not thinking about the past, he's not thinking about the future, he's just in this moment. The whole world has just stopped. And from personal experience, I can't say that is what it feels like to lose someone that you held so dear. It's like the entire world, for as much as the world may spin and, like, oh, the world just keeps spinning, the sun goes round, wind blows, or whatever, it feels like your whole world just comes to a stop and nothing else matters. Time and space just unravels in that moment. And we see it visually here because we see all this flashback, this montage of all the moments they had together, all the words of encouragement she's given him, and just how much she really meant to him. And hot damn, man, I never would have expected a Robbie Williams biopic where he's a monkey man for the entirety would make me sad. But it does, because this when the film shows that montage and all the moments they had, all the stories she would tell him, how much she believed in her above most than everybody. Like it really had me like choking up here. Like, hot damn, man, because you never want to be in that position. Because I mean, deep down, things that we do as people, we tend to immortalize the people that are in our lives. Because heck, this person has been in my life since the day I was born, and they've been there for a lot of big moments in my life. So you imagine that they'll be, though you don't say it out loud, you kind of deep down in the back of your mind imagine that they'll be there forever. You know it's not true. In the back of your mind, deep down in the pit of your heart, you want it to be true. Like they're always gonna be there because they've always been there. And oh man, like damn, it was so sad, man. Like I give this movie its props. Like damn, this movie is a 7 out of 10 if ever. This definitely had me feeling some kind of way when that happened. And a lot of damn, man, I've never had a biopic do that. Like, I don't think there's ever been a biopic that generally had me bummed out like this. Left me feeling this kind of way. A bunch of movies have left me feeling this kind of way, but those were like either dramas or movies where I have some kind of storied connection with the character, like Logan or Avengers Endgame, where it had been years of me watching this character go through trials and tribulations and everything that happened in their life. And like, it hit a point and that's when they would emotionally get me. This was the first time I've seen this movie, and it got me. The scene with the grandma passing away and all the moments they had together, it got me. Oh, but after that, it's just he sort of just I don't know. He gets really self-destructive after that. His friend that he's had ever since like the beginning of the movie, who's been friends with him since before the boy band days, you know, he never wanted anything from him. He never, he never really tried to sponge off him in any way. He generally cared for him. He was there for him as much as he could be. And, he eventually just torches that relationship. And his dad comes in to like check on him because he's got this big show coming. And over the course of this story, like after his grandma passed away, his dad kind of becomes his manager and he starts hanging around as the fame really begins to take off. He's got like a really big show, one of the largest shows in like, I guess, UK history coming up soon. So he goes to like pick him up for it. He just sees him in the middle of a lake floating on a door. So he's just sitting out in the middle of this lake floating on this door and he's yelling and yelling like, Robbie, Robbie. It looks over like, oh no. And he just like waddles out to the pool, like not to the pool. He like actually takes off his shoes and he like waddles out to the middle of the lake because he thinks like, oh man, like this is it finally happened. Robbie done taken way too many pills and he's like KO'd himself in the middle of this lake. Like I gotta go revive him or something. He looks over like, all I had to do to finally get you to step up is like, so this is what it took to finally get you to step up. All I had to do was book one of the biggest shows in history, and you finally step up to be a dad. Like this is all it took. It's like, damn, they have this really. He basically just gives him what for. I mean, he tells him off. It's this thing of like, you left and you never came back. This, that, and the third. He basically tells him like, you only came back now that I'm famous. You're nothing, man. Like you're just performing in dingy bars and all that. So he tells him off, and deservedly so, because he ain't got no business being around now that he's famous. You weren't there for the beginning. You got no business being here for the rise, and you weren't there for the lows either. So you damn sure have no business being here now that everything's hunky dory. You were barely ever a dad, and the time you were a dad is because grandma made you. Like I remember that one, that line there. It's like the time he had to come back was because the grandma made him. Which means that if the grandma hadn't forced him, he would have left and stayed gone. Like, what a freaking bum this guy is. But after that, a helicopter comes and they pick up Robbie, and it cuts to the show. The largest show he's ever done in his career. And he's performing at this show. Now, over the course of this movie, whenever he's on stage and he's performing, every now and then he'll like see himself in the crowd. It'll distract him for a few seconds and then be like, huh, okay, that was weird. And as it continues, as the film continues, he sees himself in other places, like other performances he's had, only it's getting more and more intense, like, okay, this is not normal. But then it'll just snap back to it. But this time, at the biggest show of his career with everything going on, this time it takes on a whole new level. So he's out here and he sees all the different versions of himself that have appeared all throughout the film. They're in the crowd looking at him, taunting him, to the point that he ends up diving off the stage into the crowd. And that's when the film well and truly goes off the rails, looking like something out of Heavy Metal or Macbeth, as he's using his mic stand to attack these different versions, and it becomes a sword, and he's like swinging it and hacking away at people. It's just the CGI in this is just amazing. It's like something out of War for the Planet of the Apes. I gotta give it props for that. It was just amazing watching everything just unravel and become chaotic to the nth degree. And this is like a video game pushing its processing power to its limits. I really enjoyed this section here because we got to see just, I don't know, at no point in this movie did the CGI look dodgy. Whatever money they put on this film's budget to make this happen and to make this look as good as it did was money well spent. I dug this scene. I dug the action. At no point did it look fake. I'll give it props for that. Throughout the entire movie, at no point did it look fake. But there were several points. I will have to deduct for the fact that there were several points where he looked more real than the people around him who were real, because he had a lot more detail going on in his face and the hair. So like, yeah, it is what it is there. Moving on, he says, there's a quote from Robbie Williams. It says, "Sometimes it's a curse to get everything you want. Repairing close relationships is a way to repair ourselves." That quote from the woman that's the quote from the woman he talks to at the rehab center is so perfect. Not just for recovery, but like rehab, but also not just for recovery and rehab, but like most of life actually. Because sometimes getting everything you want is the last thing you need to happen. Yeah. Just ask Haley Bieber. Anyway, moving on from that. After rehab, this is where the movie just turns into Ray. He has his problems, this big crash, he goes to rehab and he gets clean. After rehab, he goes to his former bandmates and he drops off a watermelon with the word sorry and a drawing of a dick on it. Then he just goes around reconnecting with the friend he cussed out, and he sees the guy from Oasis again. And they all got the same. I didn't know if, okay, there was a point where I genuinely couldn't tell if the person he was talking to was guy from Oasis or the friend he knew from back in the day, because they all have the same damn mod cut, and I wasn't paying that much attention to see the difference. Besides, the guy from Oasis had sunglasses on the whole time, so I don't know what he looked like without them. It's like, well, I guess that's the same guy, or it might be a different guy. Who knows? He made up with them, and that's that. Ultimately, it all crescendos with Robbie at a show saying thank you to his mother and welcoming his dad on stage to sing with him. And they both sing the song My Way by Frank Sinatra. Great song, by the way. You should check out that remastered version. It's amazing. It's on that. Also, check out the version that was on that album, Nothing But the Best, I think it was. Yeah. And at this heart-warming moment, the film closes out with a set of words from the man himself, in which he says, "I might be an entertainer. It's cabaret, but it's world class cabaret, and I'm the fucking best at it. Fuck yourselves. The end. 7 out of 10. I give it 7 stars right there. 7 freaking stars. The visuals, the music, the acting, the story. I give it up props on everything it does. A definite 7 out of 10. There were moments where it felt like, you know, I don't know. I applaud the movie for not Yeah, I applaud the movie for not, being afraid to make its character look bad, but it like really went out of its way to make the dad look bad. And it didn't seem he had that many redeeming qualities, if any. Like you could before the third act came, you could kind of give him like the idea that he had a redeeming quality in that he came back to be with Robbie. Yeah, he came back once Robbie got famous, but he did stick around and try to be his manager and make sure that he got to shows on time and do all that. But then you get the reveal of, oh, you wouldn't have come back if grandma didn't make you. And it's like, wow, they left this man they give this man no respect. Like, no chance of redemption, except for the very end when it's ultimately Robbie who forgives him for all his crud, and he just brings him on stage and they sing a number together. So that was, that was that. That's his story, dog. The mom doesn't get a whole lot to do in this story because she's there in the beginning and she's there in those other stages when he's like at the boy band days and everything's going really well. And the grandma got a lot going on. It really showed more than anything how Robbie Williams, in this film, he really did love his grandma and how the relationship they had and how proud she was that he was living his dreams and like how much he meant to her. Like, that really had me right there. The relationships with his bandmates, they're there in the beginning and then we never see them again. We get some throwaway lines about how successful they're doing later on, but they're just gone. I get it. It's not their movie. We don't need to see what they're doing, but like they are gone. When I say they're gone, I mean they are gone, gone. But yeah, that's what that is. And this is a movie, unlike most biopics, this movie didn't have a villain. It didn't have like a villain who was actively working to mess up Robbie's life or stop Robbie. The villain in this instance, if you had to take a look at it and take a guess, the villain in this instance would have been addiction, all his different addictions and his vices that got in the way and, led to him ruining many relationships and just, you know, I don't know, self-destructing essentially. That would be the villain of the piece if you would say that's the biggest antagonist there is in the movie. So yeah, I'd say that was that. Robbie Williams, I had never heard of the dude until recently because there was a song I think was about him. I originally thought it was Robin Williams when I heard that song first, but now looking back, it's like, oh yeah, this was definitely about him. It's like God bless all Robbie, and then there's a line in there that's like, yes, he went to rehab, and drink took him low, yet he's totally normal. It's like, I give that props, and that was a good one. Like, oh, that's who the song is about. That's cool. I dig it. Anyway, yeah, the guy. It was quite a storied life. I'll take it. That's yeah, quite a life story, quite a movie, quite a quite a musician. Because damn, I shazammed a lot of the songs in here because they were really good. I mean, it was I mean, I get it. It's an artist. It's a song about, it's not a song. It's a biopic about a musician. You're going to have their songs all throughout the track, but like this really fit. It felt like they they made sure to isolate certain songs that they wanted to use, and those were the songs that they put in the movie, and they like wrote scenes around the songs in there, like Forbidden Road, or their version of like Robbie Williams' take on the song My Way, or Let Me Entertain You, or the song Angels, and She's the One. I was like, wait a minute, he's the guy who did She's the One? Oh man, I dig that. I love that song, man. Oh. But yeah, 7 out of 10, I'll give it, man. 7 out of 10. You know, It's a great movie. Would recommend. Absolutely, y'all should check it out at least once. I've been your host, the man, the moon, the Moonlight King. This has been Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. Folks, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all them nice things. This has been your episode of Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. There'll be many more coming down the line. So have the day you wish to have and be good out there.